program is proudly brought to you by Puma Energy and proudly supported by BSB, official sponsor of the 2015 Pacific Games, and New Guinea, exclusive carrier for the 2015 Pacific Games, and Coral Sea Hotels, preferred accommodation provider of the 2015 Pacific Games. Good evening and welcome to Road to Port Moresby 2015. Next year, in fact 268 days from now, the country's preparations and commitment towards the 2015 Pacific Games, particularly that from the government and the Pacific Games Organising Committee, will be put to the test.
That's true, Lorraine. You could say it's an urgent and important goal that both institutions aim to deliver on time, and that's pretty much what the nation as well as the region is looking forward to. But there's been positive news on the part of the country's athletes and their preparations towards achieving goal next year in the Pacific Games.
Tonight on the show we feature an interview with PNG's weightlifting queen and dedicated mother, Dika Toa. Now, what an incredible athlete she is. She first participated internationally when she was only 16 years old in the 2000 Olympics in Australia and most recently won gold in this year's Glasgow Commonwealth Games in Scotland.
What an accomplishment by Dika Toa. We'll also give you an update on the progress of the Games Village here in Port Moresby and wrap things up with a timely contribution from Puma Energy to the Pacific Games Organising Committee. But first, here's that interview with Dika Toa.
Weightlifting has made a big breakthrough since women lifters came on board. One of those women is PNG's golden girl of weightlifting, Dika Toa. Dika Toa was born on the 23rd of June 1984 and she hails from Hanwabara, where the sport is very much loved and adored. Let's now meet her and her family.
Brought up in a community school, she had an affiliation to sport in general and started training at a young age in a backyard gym of one of PNG's national coaches' place. She used to watch people train every day and longed to participate as well. She was 10 at the time and was allowed to compete internationally at the age of 13. Her first Olympics was in the year of 2000 in Sydney, Australia, when she was only 16 years of age. She came out as the first woman weightlifter on the platform and made history. Dika Toa came 6th at the 2004 Olympic Games. That was also the year she was the flag bearer. She remembers talking to the chef de mission about how nervous she was just looking at the crowds that were out there. The advice given to her was to forget everyone else and just go out there and wave the flag. She never imagined how heavy the flag would be. Out in the field, she felt an overwhelming sense of pride to be representing her country on a global platform.
I was actually at the Fun Run event, the fundraising event, the Fun Run Chukai Fun Run. And then they announced it on the PA that I was gonna go to the Olympic Games. That really shocked me. And I didn't know what to do, what to say. Like Olympics is the highest level of competition. So from that time on, yeah, it has given me the morale, you're right. And because the boost and because I have the support behind me, so everything just flowed. And yeah, I traveled and I competed, and yeah, every time I travel and compete, it's been a success. So yeah, the success story has just continued.
Dika's going home to Papua New Guinea for the first time in 2 years after this competition. She's moving back. She hasn't seen her children in 2 years, 7-year-old son, 4-year-old daughter. She's just going to be happy to be back home and in the arms of her family.
Dika has a very supportive family. Her husband, Willie Mavara, and parents who have been by her side since the day she started her weightlifting career.
a privilege and honor to be part of this success, and I'm very happy.
Well, I have a great support for Dika, since I look after the kids.
After giving birth to a daughter, her family helped with taking care of the kids. They have also been the key motivators behind her to get back into training and doing what she loves best, to compete again. Her husband, Willie Mavara, and parents have managed well with her training schedule abroad. Overseas, Dika trains at the Oceania Weightlifting Institute in New Caledonia. At the institute, she sees people as friends and colleagues. They train together and do activities and live just like family. During competition, the responsibility of performing well rests on each athlete's shoulder, and really, it all comes down to discipline. Paul Coffer has been a great guide in Dika's sporting career since she joined him in 2002. Dika says it hasn't been easy, as since the year 2000, her visits back home to Papua New Guinea have been short and restricted. At every competition, her thoughts are dedicated to her family and her countrymen. Dika is now back in the country and will be commencing training soon. She has no special diet in place, but keeps an account of what she consumes. Her greatest strength is always having that belief and confidence to fight for the top position to win.
Throughout the years that I've trained, I've always been very aggressive on the platform, and it's just because I've always wanted to win, and I want to take that #1 podium the whole time, and I don't want anyone standing on my podium. So that's the mentality I have, and yeah, I've always wanted to win. So no matter what, whether it's blood coming out of me, it doesn't matter. I have to do it to win.
Dika Toa now has a very busy schedule as a certified coach for weightlifting. She now assists a strength and conditioning trainer at the High Performance Centre, helping other Papua New Guinean athletes who are preparing towards the 2015 Pacific Games.
I've always dreamt of these events. One day, competing in front of my home crowd, my own family, and Papua New Guinea as a whole. So yeah, it's a great feeling, and I'm looking forward to it because this is a dream come true.
See you all at the 2015 Pacific Games. Area God. Wow.
Following Sports Minister's previous visit to the indoor complex at Murray Barracks, last week he visited the Pacific Games village over at the University of Papua New Guinea.
Now, Minister Chachenko said that work is progressing well and will be completed by May next year, just 1 month before the Games opening ceremony. Now, the Games village will be home to 4,000 athletes.
And on that note, the dining room will cater for 1,000 people. And bear in mind, contracts for menus are at the stages of finalizing. Minister Chachenko also said that facilities for people with disabilities will also be catered for. Now, Minister assured the facilities will be 10 times better than the accommodation facilities he saw at the recent Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and I tell you, that's definitely something to look forward to.
The first stop was the accommodation facilities where 4,000 athletes and officials will call home during the Games. The homes will have a common room, toilets and bathrooms and laundry facilities.
As you can see, you feel the wind going through here. All natural air ventilation will circulate through all the rooms, and all the rooms too have what they call crimp safe, which is the safest, strongest protection for the windows, for security as well, and will allow the air to go through but last forever. All these products on all these buildings have been specially tested for longevity in our tropical conditions. So we're not just building this and then 3 years later we're going to have to redo it again. We're looking at the 20, 30, 40-year term of maintenance of this building. Solid steel, solid concrete, all proper fittings and accessories to last the long term. The amount of money we're putting in here, we want to make sure it's forever, not just for today. And that's very, very important. So for our future students of the university, they're going to have one of the best facilities to stay in that this country and the Pacific has ever seen.
He said each room will accommodate 4 persons comfortably with desks and wardrobes built.
Well, yeah, you're going to have a full set of joinery. You're going to have wardrobes, desks for the students. There's a divider between the bunks so that you've got shelf space, you've got position, say, for your computer. You've got the desks as well. So all those things are really geared towards the student.
So what we've done is we looked at the densities. We wanted to create outdoor spaces that could be used just as much as the indoor. So we created these courtyards. We worked out that if we went to 3 stories high, we'd end up with the 10 buildings creating courtyards between them. So it's not just the space you're in here. Half of them will live out in the courtyards. By the time they're finished, they've got house-wind structures and recreational areas. They can eat out there as much as they'll eat in the common room. So it's about creating the whole of the space and creating identity in each block.
The dining room, which has just started, will cater meals for 1,000 persons at a time. He said a contract has been awarded and are in the process of finalizing menus and so on. Minister Kechenko said a facility for persons with disabilities was also catered for. Project manager of BACA, who are managing the project on behalf of the government, said the facilities were of world class and every athlete and officials living there will find it comfortable.
We're planning on landscaping as of the beginning of next month. So in general, we're going pretty good. Yeah, most of the essential services are in. I expect to start the powerhouse as of next month as well. So we should be able to liven up this side of the road, the 6 blocks on this side, coming into the end of November.
Project manager Jack Taipan of BACA said the construction work is on time, with contractors China Railway Construction Engineering working around the clock and employing more than 65% nationals to complete the facilities.
We're probably past 60 as far as the structures, well, we're actually 90% as far as structures go. As far as roof cladding goes, which is the envelope part, we're about 45% of that. So progress-wise for the building envelope, it's going pretty well. The slow part for us at the moment is the internal finishes, so that's the part we've got to really build up on.
The minister was accompanied by Pacific Games Authority Chairman Costas Constantino, Project Manager Jack Taipan from BACA, China Railway Construction Project Director Victor Yang, and architect Brian Morrison from Warren Mahoney. The minister said these facilities, when completed, will be 10 times better than the accommodation facilities he saw at the recent Commonwealth Games in Glasgow.
The Venues Committee and myself are constantly, on a regular basis, every week, getting updates, talking to the project managers, talking to the contractors, coming out on site visits to ensure that these are finished and completed professionally, properly, and to a quality standard that this country deserves. We've seen a lot of infrastructure built in the past in our country that has fallen down, and we don't want to see that happen here. With me as the minister, it is full-on professionalism, get the job done and make sure it lasts forever. The credibility of the companies are at stake as well. Warren Mahoney, they've designed this, not only looking at the aspect of how it looks, but also making sure the material that is used will last forever. And looking at our tropical conditions and looking at our environment. The contractor is then managed by the project manager, which is separately appointed, so there's total transparency. and then he subcontracts out to other companies to do the professional work that is required. So it's a very detailed process of constructing these buildings, and there's plenty of cross-check and balances to ensure that the highest quality of workmanship is done for the benefit of the people of Papua New Guinea.
The preparations of the 2015 Pacific Games needs all the support it can gather to truly make it a successful and memorable event that will go down in PNG's history.
And with that being said, Papua New Guinea's major fuel supplier, Puma Energy, announced its 3 million kina platinum sponsorship for the Pacific Games. Now, Lorraine, this comes to show the cooperation between the private sector and the government.
It also brings to light the importance of the private-public partnership and how it can be used as a tool to benefit the country.
Papua New Guinea's major fuel supplier Puma Energy announced its 3 million kina sponsorship support of the Pacific Games. The company celebrated the announcement of its platinum sponsorship at the launch event held at its newly branded service station at Konedabu. It was a timely boost for the Pacific Games Authority as well as the country's preparation towards hosting the nation's biggest sporting event. The government has allocated substantial funds for the Games, especially to build infrastructure, and for Puma Energy to come on board with an immense sponsorship package. The public-private partnership continues to strengthen. In-country Puma Energy General Manager Peter Disman said Puma Energy is delighted to contribute to making the Games as successful as possible.
Puma Energy is pleased to announce the platinum sponsorship, our platinum sponsorship, for the 2015 Pacific Games to be held here in Port Moresby. We believe that it is important for local businesses to work together with the Games Organising Committee and support them on putting on the best games possible next year. We expect that all eyes will be on Port Moresby and that the world will see what Papua New Guinea has to offer.
Mr. Disman said the 2015 Pacific Games would shine its spotlight on the nation, and Puma Energy is committed to be part of the team to make the Games a success and leave a lasting legacy. Puma Energy adds to the growing number of sponsors for the Games, bringing a total of 15 corporate and state-owned entities who have come on board to support the Games.
I warmly welcome Puma Energy into the Pacific Games family as a platinum sponsor. The GOC board is pleased to have Puma Energy on board, a global energy company operating in over 40 countries around the world. You're coming on board to support the biggest ever sporting event to be held on our shores, and this shows your commitment to doing business in Papua New Guinea. Our government has allocated substantial funds to these Games, and as you've all seen, a huge proportion of this funding is going into infrastructure development across Port Moresby. And therefore sponsorships such as these are very welcome as they greatly assist the funding to other parts of the Games. We are on target and ready to go for the 4th of July 2015. Tura the Kokomo, our Games mascot, is currently uniting the country through its provincial visits. Papua New Guineans across the provinces where Tura has visited have embraced the tour, as they now truly say the Games belong to Papua New Guinea and not just Port Moresby. Tura and the team have visited 9 provinces so far and will continue travelling through the rest of the provinces throughout this year.
The Games Organising Committee was energized by Puma Energy and ready to fuel their drive to make the 2015 Pacific Games the best Games ever. The official mascot Tura the Kokomo was also on hand to welcome the Puma onto the bandwagon. So far, Tura has visited 9 provinces, delivering the Games message, as well as creating hype and a sense of belonging for not only Port Moresby, but for all Papua New Guineans. Recently, the Games Organizing Committee have made major announcements, such as the producer of the opening and closing ceremonies, domestic television broadcast right holders, the merchandise for the Games, cleaning and waste, and a medical committee for the Games. In the next few months, the committee will launch the volunteer program in November and will be selling Games merchandise at Christmas. Early next year, the ticketing strategy will be unveiled, as well as the hosting of the first ever chef de mission meeting in March. The relay in April next year will further add to the excitement.
We've got so much to look forward to over the next 10 months to the lead up of the Pacific Games. We now know what benchmark we have to set after the successful participation of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. So now it's for us to move forward and make a big impact in the Pacific to show who Papua New Guinea is and to make sure that we have as many gold medals around our necks as possible in all the sporting events that we participate in. Puma Energy's platinum sponsorship is not a mistake. For them to come on board at this stage is a bonus and a blessing to the work that the Games Authority is doing, showing that they want to come on board and be part of something special that this country will be hosting. The Pacific Games is not only about bringing our athletes together for competition, it's a nation building. It brings our people together from all walks of life, from the village to the community to the settlement to the suburban areas, and all the provinces in the country will be together in July 4th for a game that will unite our country bigger and better in many ways than anything else does. Sport plays a strategic role in uniting all of us and keeping us fit and healthy and competitive and showing ourselves a bit of discipline and responsibility and initiative and commitment as well.
Puma Energy is one of the world's largest independent midstream and downstream fuel companies. It plans to use its extensive experience of fuel storage, distribution, and refining to link the Papua New Guinea's fuel market with its global operations. The company also celebrated the opening of its newly branded service station and the region's first Super 7's convenience store.
That's all we have for tonight. We'll be back with more in a fortnight with more updates on the Games, profiles on PNG's individual sporting supremacy, as well as an insight as to how the Games will help grow Papua New Guinea's economy in 2015.
So until then, good night and have a pleasant evening.
This program was proudly brought to you by Puma Energy and proudly supported by BSB, official sponsor of the 2015 Pacific Games, and New Guinea, exclusive carrier for the 2015 Pacific Games, and Coral Sea Hotels, preferred accommodation provider of the 2015 Pacific Games.